Welcome back, everybody, to the FTC Coach Professional Development. And our next presenter is Team Shellbots, and they are based in Waverly, Iowa, and they will be talking about the judging process as well. So go ahead and take it over, Shellbots.
Thank you. So yes, as was stated, we're the Shellbots. I am Willem Potter. Also presenting today, we have Caleb Hine, Mason Kotlars, and Salem Bird. And today, we're here to help you about how to make your engineering portfolio and how to succeed in doing that. So as the Shellbots, we are a fourth-year team, and throughout our time being in robotics, we've gotten the Think Award. Last year, we got the League Championship and Super Qualifier, and then at state last year, we got third place design. Also at state, we've gotten second place Connect Award. We've also got Motivate Award, and last year, we helped out another team with getting the Think Award, and they won that at state. So we've had a little bit of experience with getting different awards and what you have to do to get those and helping people with getting those awards.
So in our presentation, we're going to talk about all the different fantastic awards that your portfolio can qualify you for. And based on our experience as a team and as judge assistants, how we've seen judges think. Then we're going to talk about a little bit how we generate our portfolio and some of our tips in the creation of it. And finally, the fun experience of telling the judges what you've accomplished.
Let's start off with talking about all the different fantastic awards and how you can get those awards.
But actually, before we get to all of the awards, we need to clarify. If there's one thing you're going to learn from this presentation, it's that you need to pick an award and focus on that award. So as a team, communicate, talk to other teams, and understand and figure out which award you need to go for. So that means reading the descriptions and determine why you want to do this. This needs to be a very thought out process because this is the most important decision you're going to make when it comes to making your presentation and your portfolio and your notebook. If you can focus on one award, you're way more likely to move on and get that award based off of all of the efforts you put into getting that award.
So once we get into later competitions throughout the season, there will be a chance for teams to move on and teams will be eliminated. And there are 7 awards that will be able to advance you to the next level. They are in order of importance: Inspire, Think, Connect, Innovate, Control, Motivate, and Design. Then on the left, this is a list of like the top 23 or 24 or something like of the advancement, the placement. And if you want to see the full list, you can see that in Game Manual Part 1, but it basically goes an award, then the best robot, and a next award, another robot, and that's how you can then advance to the next level. And it's based on a certain percentage of the teams there and like how many teams signed up in your state.
So one of the most important aspects of all of FIRST and being in FIRST programs is gracious professionalism. Not only is it just a good thing to have in life, but in every single award, the first criteria is exhibiting gracious professionalism, and you should be able to show that both in your portfolio and then also as a team at your competition. And that should be with other teams as well as within your own team, being graciously professional. You need this gracious professionalism in order to get any of the awards, including Inspire, Think, Control, Innovate, Motivate, Connect, Design. It's the #1 criteria for being able to get those awards. Now, gracious professionalism is a little bit subjective, but really it's all just about being nice and helping people learn and grow together. If someone needs a part, you can lend them a part. Or if you want a competition, being a good sportsman, it's just a good way to make sure that everyone's having a good time. Everybody is learning and growing as people in FIRST activities.
So, of course, the best award that you can get is the Inspire Award. Teams that get the Inspire Award are able to display excellence in all other awards. And so all of the things, tips, tricks that we're going to be telling you about in the next couple of minutes about different awards and their criteria, these all apply to the Inspire Award. So if you're trying to get the Inspire Award, which of course all teams are, you want to be able to show that you've done all the things. So to be eligible for Inspire, besides just having an impressive portfolio, a lot of good teams typically have a good robot. It's not within the criteria for Inspire Award, but if you don't have a good robot, probably means you might not have put as much focus into robotics, and that will make you less eligible for the Inspire Award. But in general, it's the most impressive. If you get first, second, or even third Inspire Award, you'll advance to the next level.
The next most important award after first, second, third Inspire is the Think Award. And you have to be able to meet the criteria in both the portfolio and the notebook for the Think Award. And it's all about problem solving, encountering problems and coming up with solutions and being able to show that process in a mature and organized way. The judges are really looking for what was your original plan, and then how did you approach it, and what problems did you encounter? How did you try and solve those problems? And then what was your end result, and how did you learn along this process? And in this, they're really looking for your engineering content and decision-making tools. So early meetings, figuring out what our main goals were, having different sketches, having decision matrices, being able to show your CAD models and your CAD drawings, and then being able to have the whole process of having nothing, showing what problems you've had with a CAD model and how you changed it, and then finally showing your final product and how you learned and what that goal was and how you finally developed what you were going for.
So the Connect Award is the award that goes to teams that are able to connect with professionals to improve their memberability. And in the judged interview, there will most likely be questions, if you're eligible for the Connect Award, about how you've reached out to professionals to improve your abilities. And there's a lot of different ways that can come to be. If you're having troubles with a particular system, like for us, we were struggling with odometry. So we wanted to reach out to some professionals who had worked with it before. And there on the screen, you can see our meeting with Dan Nelson. That was because we wanted to know a little more about odometry. He works with NASA and Boeing Aerospace. And so we worked with him, and afterwards our odometry was able to improve a lot. Bringing on new mentors is also part of the Connect Award. We're fortunate enough to have a lot of manufacturing and machining places in our hometown of Waverly. So we like to call them up for fundraising, mentor raising. They sometimes let us tour our facilities, and it really helps us grow as a team in our engineering. And that's a good thing that judges like to see typically, is how your team has improved due to contacting STEM professionals and other teams.
The Innovate Award is an award based on something brand new about the robot. That's something the judges have never seen before. An example of this is Steelhead Robotics there on the right. For Skystone, we had to keep stacking stones on top of each other. And that's what most teams did, keep adding this stone to the top. Of what they did is they picked up the entire stack and put one at the bottom. And I think they were able to win the Innovate Award. But they really like seeing something new and original that they've never seen before. 3D printed stuff helps a lot with this. And this could be like something super simple, like just one really cool part, or this could be an entire giant mechanism that allows you to win the Innovate Award.
The next award is the Control Award, not to be confused with the Connect Award. The Control Award is primarily based off of programming, and it's a little bit different because of that. And instead of the other awards, where you would basically just say, oh, we're focusing on this award, here's why we believe we want this award. The Control Award's a little different, where you have to submit a submission form for it. Submission form changes a little bit almost every year. I don't really know what's going to be like this next year, but it's really good to read up on it right before you submit it. Make sure you have everything you need. You're not actually doing anything you don't want to do wrong in it. But it's basically about how well you programmed your robot and what you use to make a good program for your robot. So teams that use complex math and complex algorithms to make their autonomous program and their manual mode and their end game a lot better for their drivers typically win the Control Award. So the best way to focus on the Control Award is to include a lot of sensors and solutions and smart ways to have a solution to your autonomous program. So teams that use cameras, sensors such as distance sensors or maybe touch sensors like odometry wheels or VSLAM do a very good job with a Control Award. And teams that also have unique solutions similar to the Innovate Award to programming problems do a very good job with the Control Award. So here's a picture of one of our last year's submission for our Control Award, where we explained what we're doing in each section of the program. And we also include a video with it explaining all of our sensors and all that. I think the video is linked on our YouTube channel. So if you want to watch the video, it's on our YouTube channel.
A helpful distinction to make with the control award is between smart code, good code, and smart code. If your code is like really good, really clean, but it's just ordinary, then that's not enough to get you the control award. It needs to be something that's smart.
And a little bit more clarification that I probably should mention is the Inspire Award in relation to the Control Award. You're unable to get the Inspire Award if you do not submit a Control Award. There's been a scenario that we were in where we thought, oh, our Control Award's not good enough to actually get anything. So we ended up not submitting the Control Award later to find out that we were disqualified for the Inspire Award simply because we didn't even submit a Control Award, which was, a mistake on our part. So even if you don't have a good control award, the judges can't tell between not trying and trying. So at least you're submitting one, you're giving an effort. It looks better than not submitting one.
The Motivate Award is for teams who go out into their community and are so-called ambassadors for FIRST. And what that can look like is talking to your community or clubs like 4-H, Boy Scouts, or talking to elementary schools, trying to motivate them to be involved in STEM, FIRST, FTC, what have you. So if you, something that we have done in previous years is go to the state fair to present. We weren't able to do that last year due to COVID, but we like to have a booth at not the state fair, our county fair. That way we can bring in new members. We've got currently 2 members on our team that joined due to our county fair outreach. It's a good thing for judges to see that you are motivating people to join FTC. If there may be some questions related to that in the judged interview about how different outreach events have motivated people to join.
The design award is all about, the design of the robot and the thought that kind of goes into the robot. One thing that the judges really like is really nice looking robots. Stuff looks really clean and sleek. You don't want to have just wires everywhere, random parts there that don't really seem to have a function. You need to have it all be super clean and nice. But one thing they like the most is CAD drawings, not like napkin drawings, like full-on CAD drawings or CAD pictures, like those pictures to the right you see. And then they want to see thought go into those CAD drawings and CAD designs, and they want you to show that process and like, why did you do what you actually did? Not like, oh, we thought this would work and it was our first idea, so we went with it. They want you to see you thinking through and trying all the different possibilities until you came to the design that your robot is now.
Now that we've looked at all the different awards and how you might be able to get them, now we'll move into talking specifically about how to make a portfolio and some of the useful information in regards to making your portfolio.
So we have a rather large team. Last year, we had a team of 13. So having everyone at a Zoom meeting was a pretty rare event. Knowing when your portfolio is due, combined with knowing who all will be available, is really vital to having things ready in time. We use GroupMe, which has an event feature, as you can see there on the screen. And it helps us keep track of that and all the meetings that we had, which there were a lot of. Having a lot of meetings meant that we were able to have everybody helping some of the time, even if we didn't have everybody at the same time. So be ready to meet with only a few people. It may be a little bit frustrating to only be able to have a quarter of your team there at a time, but by having a lot of meetings and by having a team that's really dedicated to meeting frequently, any amount helps.
Like Mason was talking about earlier, it is good to have a focus specifically on an award, but one thing you might be able to do is be so strong that you can qualify for a couple different awards. But if you are just focusing on a certain award, you need to make sure that you're following the criteria that are laid before you in the game manual, and you need to make sure that you are hitting all of those different criteria as said in your portfolio. So if you're specifically going for the Think Award, like what we did last year, we allocated more pages to our design process and more of the Think Award information to make sure that we were going to be hitting all of those criteria. But if you're going for the Connect Award, then you might want to show multiple pages about all your different outreach events, talk in depth about what goals you had for them, and talk about what you did at each outreach event. Really, you just need to be showing what you want to show the judges. So if you're focusing on just one award, you might be allocating more pages to that, but you should still be showing the judges all of what your team did, your media, your fundraising, all the information about your team, hitting all the highlights.
Because their portfolio can only be 15 pages rather than the notebook, which can be considerably more than that. Having that content focus is really vital, having a good density of what you want to show the judges.
Dividing and conquering is super important, and we learned this our very first year. We had 2 people trying to do pretty much the entire notebook by themselves, and it didn't really work. So you need to assign the jobs to the people who know what they're talking about. So design people do design section, outreach do outreach section. You don't want a builder trying to put together the fundraising spreadsheet. You need to let people do what they know and what they're talking about. And everyone needs help out because everyone has contributed to the team in some way. And you might need to meet in smaller groups, not the entire team. It's like the design section can get together and try to really work on making one page of the portfolio really well and really good. So that way you could win an award from it.
When working on your award, you need to focus on a couple of different things. The majority of awards all ask about what goals did you meet and what goals were you working on. So it is very important that you talk about when going for an award, specifically maybe the Think Award for an example, that you explain what goals were you going for, how did you meet them, and how are you working on getting to your awards, that goal. And throughout the season, you're going to be giving a couple of different presentations. You're going to be submitting a different couple different drafts of your portfolio and your notebook or whatever. And so it's a good idea to almost have a timeline as you're going through the season, to say, oh, this is how we progressed since the last time. Here's how we're improving, how we're going on, what's going on with our team, and how we worked on different things, and this is what we've accomplished. It's very important to show what you've learned. First is all about improving and learning about the process of STEM. So if you can show what you're learning and how you're gaining knowledge from all this, it's even better. So if you're going for maybe the outreach, or you're going for innovate or design, or you're going for control, then it's key that you list all of these items. You actually read the design, the award for what they wrote in the notebook or the game manual. It's key that you read that and actually list everything and go through, basically have a checklist and go through everything, all the criteria, and make sure you cover everything when you're going through the portfolio and the presentation. So basically, it goes going through and making it easier for the judges. So covering every aspect of an award makes it a lot simpler to get that award, and using keywords and making it easier for them to understand what you're saying is very important. So if you, during your presentation, you actually end up saying motivational outreach or innovative design or connect with STEM professionals, that's great, because it tells the judges that you're thinking about those awards, that you're planning and you're actually preparing and you're thinking about what you want to do, where you're going, and what you're going to get with your award. So during our more recent season, we are going for the Think Award, and we, at the beginning and the end of the presentation, we would say, here's why we think, because we're going for the Think Award. So it's kind of a play on words, but because it's the beginning and the end of the presentation, it really clarified for the judges and made it a lot easier for them to understand what award we're going for. So if you can do that, it's really good.
So here's a few minor but important odds and ends to consider. The medium that you make a portfolio on needs to fit your team's goals. So if you want to, well, for your portfolio, that is. If you want a mostly graphical portfolio with text boxes that you can move to be next to a picture, with charts and logos of maybe your sponsors in a certain place, and be able to really easily move things about without it affecting the text, it's good to use Google Slides or Microsoft PowerPoint. We use Google Slides because it's so easy for us. We're really familiar with it because of school projects mostly, and it's just comfortable for us. Other teams, maybe your team might like to use Google Docs or Microsoft Word to display textual information like a book. In any case, either is valid. You just need to decide what you're going to use. Having a layout in mind and a general color scheme is good too. As you've seen on the pages of the portfolio that we've presented, we've got the yellow and black theme because those are our school's colors and specifically our team's colors. And it makes it look rather put together, makes it easier to understand the information than if it's just like black on white, small little pieces of small little shapes that aren't easy to see. And having a professional portfolio makes it stand out to the judges. If there's a toss-up between a few equally accomplished teams, if your team's portfolio looks better, there's just that subconscious, oh, well, they deserve it a little bit more. Additionally, using tables is a great way to put lots of information together in a comprehensible way. Outreach is my focus, so one thing I like to do is have tables of all the outreach events listed, what number of outreach it was, who we contacted, how many people we contacted, the total amount of hours put in so that we can have a running total of hours. And I think that it just shows that it was a thoughtful process, that outreach is important to us, and that we know what we're doing. Count your pages. If you have page numbers, it means that the judges can talk to each other about what pages you have, about what certain page something is on, can talk to you about it. And I think it's a requirement, in fact. You only have 15 pages, so put as much as you can within those 15 pages. You don't want to have 14 pages and call it good. You have, no matter what, with a season, as long as it is, you will have enough information for 15 pages. And well, I think that most people will be struggling to fit it within that. Do not exceed 15 pages. Knowing the details of the game manual is really important. The details of the size of your pages, the detail of how big your font can be, making sure that all of that last names are not included for any of the team members are all really important steps. It means that if you don't follow them, it means that your portfolio might not be accepted. And even if it is, it just shows that that it was a thoughtful process for you, that you read the game manual and know what's going on. And most importantly, just proofread your portfolio so much. Every table, box of text, and every slide should be checked for the most up-to-date and accurate information.
After making your portfolio, then you eventually have to talk about it at competition, which might not always be people's favorite, but is a necessary step in the process. And one of the most important distinctions is between the presentation and the portfolio. They should be similar in ideas because they're both talking about your season, but the portfolio is more of a snapshot of the season and your notebook, whereas the presentation is a snapshot of the portfolio. And it's really just 5 minutes to hit all of the highlights of the highlights. So you need to have the similar information, but the presentation should be a little bit even more condensed and easy for the judges to take in the 5-minute time. One important aspect of this is in order for to be considered for a certain award, you have to be considered for it during the presentation first. So you might have the best portfolio for the Think Award or for the Control Award or for some award in your portfolio. But if you don't even get considered in it because you don't talk about it in your presentation, then it doesn't matter. So you need to make sure that you have that connection between your presentation and your portfolio, but that they're not the exact same information. So that way, once they look at your portfolio, it really gives you a better chance at getting that award that you want to get.
So how the presentation works is there is 5 minutes for you to present and give the best things about your team. And then there's 10 minutes in which judges will ask questions. There's lots of questions judges will ask, but we found a few that they really like to ask, specifically our team, but probably most teams in general. The one they ask pretty much every single time is, what award do you think you deserve? Normally they'll ask like besides the Inspire, because everyone wants Inspire, but you need to have a really strong answer for this. So that way you can be considered for that award and you'll have a better chance of getting that award. Also, they like to ask about gracious professionalism. Sometimes like also what is gracious professionalism to your team specifically? Like how have you shown that? How has gracious professionalism been shown to you guys? And so not just like over what is it, just how has it affected your team as well? They also like asking like what is unique about your award, what is unique about your team, and then like you got to have something to explain that. But also they like asking what's gone wrong and how you learn from mistakes, because that's a lot of what first is about, making mistakes and learning from it, because we're all trying to get better. Those are just a few questions, but they ask lots of questions.
Yeah, you can. These questions can be found online. It's good to, I know it's not exactly portfolio related, but it's good to review these questions with your team. So to sum up, this is all a long way of saying, decide what award you want, look at that criteria and follow that criteria. The judges don't have some secret opinionated vendetta. There's no secret winning strategy. It's as simple as following the criteria, meeting those as excellently as you can. If there's something that is really amazing about your team and you've decided that you want, maybe you've decided that you want the Motivate Award, but there is a really cool connection that you made to President of the United States, that would be, it's okay to change what you're going for, just as long as you follow the criteria.
All right, well, something's gone wrong with the slides, but this is actually the end of our present. Oh, there we go. This is the end of our presentation. So yeah, thank you for coming to our TED Talk. We really appreciate this. It's fun for us to give a presentation like this. We enjoy it. Hopefully you guys can enjoy it. If you have any questions, now's a really good time for us to ask them, or for us to ask them, for you guys to ask them. And if you have questions, you come up with a question later on. We have a couple social media you can contact us on. But yeah, if you guys got any questions, we'll take them now.
Well, right now we've got one question in the queue. When you were talking about the design and showing up the CAD drawing that you had, is obviously it's a religious question. Is what do you suggest for CAD software?
So the one we use is Autodesk Inventor. That's worked really well for us, but like it can get a bit pricey. We've always had our school uses it a lot, so we've been able to use that to help us for robotics, as we have a mentor at our school. But I know like Fusion 360 from Autodesk is becoming really popular now. It doesn't really matter as long as it's got like a lot of advanced things, like you're able to import parts and make parts and assemble it all together. So it doesn't really matter, just you need to have all those options to make it look really good. But yeah, we use Autodesk Inventor if you want to use that.
Okay. You did mention earlier that last year you were not eligible for an Inspire Award at one of your meets or tournaments because you didn't submit a control award. In looking at the criteria, I don't see that as a requirement for Inspire. I mean, it's basically the you need to be nominated for both MCI and TA awards, but not all of them. So I was just curious as to what made you think about that.
I think, can I address that, please, Manny?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was speculation on the team's part. So in the debrief that the team did after the results from one of the meets, they were talking about strengths and weaknesses, basically doing a SWOT analysis. And so the conversation was, well, you know, we didn't get what we were hoping to, and we didn't submit a control award, so maybe that was it. And so I think that that's where that thought process came from.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that the coaches online, it's not a requirement. You just have to make sure that you cover both MCI and TA awards as described from in the last presentation, as well as in the game manual. And game manual part 1 for this season has been released. It's available on the first website, so you can start reading now. Question, do you have one person responsible for social media, or does everyone post and tag your social media?
We sort of have a social media team. I'm mostly in charge of the posting of social media, but we've got a number of people as a part of it. That way we can have, if we have certain developments within the design team, they're able to post to it. If we have programming developments or events that are coming up, anyone can post on it. I think we share the password to our Instagram among our team members. But for the most part, it's just 1 or 2 people posting. So we do have a specific team, and that works out for us.
Excellent. Any other questions out there from the audience or other things? We are done a little early, so we got plenty of time. Guys, I just want to let you know you did a fantastic job presenting. I like the way you pass things off to different members of your team. Very well
Thank you.
done. For the portfolio, would you weigh readability or including more information as being more important?
I would say personally, readability is more important. If there's some information that you think it would be great to have, but it's just really cluttered and really condensed, after the first couple of pages of your portfolio, the judges only have a limited time to read through all of it. So after a certain amount of pages, odds are they're just going to be skimming. So if you have something that's most important, put that a bit bigger than the other things. And with additional information, put that into your notebook or into your presentation. The highlights will be in your presentation. That's what we call your Instagram life, because it's like what you would post to Instagram, just the highlights of what's going on. Then put relevant but not as impressive information into your portfolio, just to show the sheer mass of things that you've done. And then everything else, the details, odds and ends, can go into your notebook. So readability is most important in the portfolio. More information is more fit for your notebook.
Yeah, I'm going to add one thing to that. We found that judges, if they don't really understand it, they'll just kind of ignore it and not try to understand it because they have already so many teams to look at and so much time. So if they don't really understand it, they'll just ignore it. Even if it's something really cool, they'll just get rid of it because they just don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, it's very important to go for readability because, you know, the judges are going to be looking for a lot of presentations. So it's good to help them out on their end. But if, for example, you're going through and you're listening, oh, here's all the lessons we've learned. If you're really keen on like, oh, here's how we've improved or learned as a team, that's a good example of a section where you could just keep on going out and be like, here's a massive long list. And, you know, they don't have to read every single item on the list, but at least the list is there for them to understand and realize that, oh, these people are really focusing on learning and improving.
As a judge, would also agree with all of that information, especially Caleb, the readability and the way that you broke it down. That was well done. Another question, what is your view on the remote judging last year as it may continue in some regions?
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. I think it's honestly easier. We found it easier to prepare for remote judging than it is to prepare for judging the judged interviews that are in person, because with the judged interviews online, you can sit down at your computer, everyone's already there. Whereas for us, we have a limited space in our robotics room, so we had to go out into the hall and sit down. But there's something about the face-to-face, being able to look at one another while we're talking, that I personally really miss. Anyone else's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I kind of miss that too. Like just seeing face to face and being able to like actually express yourself, not like through video cameras. And technology can be weird, which we've had a couple of times. Like my internet would go out, and then like we'd have to scramble to change stuff. And so you have to practice a lot for online, but you have to practice either way. So I also prefer the in person.
There's advantages and disadvantages to both, with one of the disadvantages being like sometimes you don't always have the best internet connection, but advantages being you can connect and help out with a presentation or from anywhere. So there's always going to be pros and cons to every decision. But as a team, we just really enjoy robotics, so we're good with really whatever.
And one aspect of doing it online is you definitely learn a lot of problem solving skills, because you'll have to be solving problems on the fly, maybe during the judge presentation itself, but I guess that's just more learning experience.
just a comment about if you're still doing stuff online, make sure that you open up a Zoom window that's focused on just your robot so that you can show off parts of your robot to the judges, and you can, whether it's a handheld phone that's talking in on the Zoom, you can move the phone around and go that way. What platform do teams use for online meetings?
Our team uses Zoom, like what we're using right now, just because it's got a lot of good options.
Mhm.
We've tried a little bit with other stuff, such as, I guess, Google
Meet.
Teams, Google Meets. But we typically stick to Zoom. We also like using GroupMe for communication and scheduling. It's a really good idea to set up some sort of like group calendar, so you can set up the events and things that are going on within the team that everyone can see and use. Because some people don't use calendars, but some people are very big in using calendars. So things like that are really helpful for the entire team.
There's a lot of particular features of Zoom that I'm sure Will could tell you about, which were incredibly helpful for design meetings.
Yep. Becca just typed in the chat that, and I agree. I was just about to mention Slack being a good tool for collaboration amongst team members. You can set up sub channels of the teams.
Yeah,
in that.
We have a Google Drive that we like divide a bunch of sections into stuff, so that way we can all access that. It's like we have a specific spot for all the design stuff, so everything's all in one place. But yeah, Slack would also be a good thing to use.
Programming team ended up using a Trello board for one of our tasks when we're working on odometry. Use that to at least divide up and section out, like, oh, here's what we've done, here's what we've tried, because we spent a long time working on odometry. I'm not proud of that fact that we spent so much time working on it. I wish it would have worked immediately, but it ended up working. So we got it done. But
well, you learn more.
I think you're pretty proud of that, Mason.
I'm not proud of working on it for like 3 months, but
All righty. We've got another 5-10 minutes if anybody wants to ask any other questions of the awesome Shellbots here.
I wanted to go back and remind Mason that part of the learning process is failing, right? So
it's true.
Fail fast, Mason.
You did learn a lot.
Yeah. And that's actually really good for all the coaches. When your students get discouraged because something is not working, you need to remind them that part of learning is failing. So it's a very tough thing to accept, but once they are able to accept it, then they will succeed.
And the judges like to see those fails.
Spot on. Yep, you're right,
Yes.
Salem.
Well, specifically how you've overcome the fails.
Yep.
And then how you celebrate the successes, right? So, and with that being said too, successes can be small successes too. Make sure you celebrate those, from like, hey, you know what? We got a robot built and we can drive it. Celebrate that. Absolutely, because that's a huge step, especially for those who are new to FTC.
Speaking on behalf of the social media team for the Shellbots, we always have an Instagram post, an "It's Alive" post every single season.
Alrighty. Okay,
Actually,
I think we're go ahead.
I'm actually noticing that we made our I mentioned earlier that we had a video on our YouTube channel with our connect award. Our control award. I always screw those two up. So it's private. So I'm going, if that's all right, I'd like to post in the chat so people have access
Please
to
do.
that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure you change it to unlisted then.
I don't I actually I'll have to get Caleb to do that, because I don't remember the password for our YouTube. I could actually
Well, if they have the link, they
we'll do it
can get to
afterwards.
it as long as it's even if it's unlisted.
Yeah, if it's unlisted, they can see it.
Alrighty.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.
Yep. Go ahead and close this.